All right. It looks like we are live. Let me see. It's been a long time since we've been in here. So, welcome back. Welcome back. Feels good to be back. I want to give the people a few minutes to come on in. Do me a favor. As you come in, do me a favor. As you come in, hit that like button and share. Please share and invite a friend. And let's see if we can have us a productive and interesting conversation. Give me a minute, and I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna go ahead and share this video as well. Let me see, share it to a couple places, and see if we can have an interesting conversation. This is an interesting topic to me because of some discussions that I was involved in earlier in the week, and also an interesting article that came out. I'm gonna touch on that too here in a minute. As you come in, just let me know who you are, where you're from. See, Mr. Yardley Bond is always in the place. My man, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Always at the bakery. My man, you stack more donuts than the average cat. I promise. How you doing, bro? All right, let me share that right there. Shout out to Mr. Gerald Young. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. I want to get this thing cracking. Let me see. All right, we got a few people in here. Do me a favor, as y'all come in, like I said, hit that like button and share this video. Hit that like button and share this video. And let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. I'm gonna share it on it. I'm so out of practice. It's been a minute. Let me see. Share there, share there. All right. Get a few people in there. See what it looks like. What y'all think about this topic? Fuzz Lights, Facebook user. I'm not sure who that is. Peace, brother. Who is that? Fuzz Lights, how you doing, sis? Glad you can make it. Let me see. The topic of discussion was, can a man reach his full potential without a woman? That's the question on the table. Can a man reach his full potential without a woman? Now, to me, it's pretty cut and dry, but I know that there are a lot of varying opinions on this topic. And so, I don't know, I just kind of want to put that on the table for discussion. And I don't know, maybe I'll share some things with y'all share some things with me, and maybe we can learn and grow together. Mr. Yardley says, it's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you. You're right, bro. I shouldn't have, man. But I needed a break, man. I needed a little break. We had a lot going on over here, man. Me and the wife, we got a full litter of Doberman puppies. 13, man. My dog had 13 puppies. That's a big litter. If any of you know anything about dog breeding, that's a huge litter. So been having to do a lot of bottle feeding and, taking care of them. And that's just, hands are full, man. Hands are full. My lovely wife is in the place. How you doing, ma'am? Good to see you as always, even though you're right down the hallway. Fuzz Light says self-care is good. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, wow. You have a Cane Corso. My brother has a Presa Canario. I think they're in the same family pretty much, right? How old is your Cane Corso? Is that how you say it? Cane. Some people say Cane Corso. Some people say Cane Corso. How old is yours, Fuzz? How old is your dog? Raymond, salute, brother. My man, Tank Commander Zulu checking in. My man, good to see you. Yes, indeed. So I'm going to get on into it, man. Without further ado. Yep. Fuzz says, same family. He is gray and 6 years old. Wow. I don't want to get too far off topic, but I just wanted to know if you planned on breeding him at all. Say he looks like a baby donkey. Yeah, they do, man. They are huge. My Doberman is a female, and she was 120 pounds. She just gave birth, so before that she was 100 pounds. And if anybody knows anything about Doberman, that's huge for a female Doberman. So and she's got some nice, thick, fat little furry puppies, man. Nice fat furry puppies. All right. Yardley says, better make sure you put that puppy daddy on child support. Oh man, you already know. As a matter of fact, I got to pay them for getting her pregnant. How about that? I had to pay stud fees. That's the opposite way the humans do it. Anyway, let me jump on into this topic, man. I want to know what y'all think about the question on the table. Can a man reach his full potential um, without a woman? That's the question. Can a man reach his full potential without a woman? I want to know what y'all think before I start sharing all my ideas. I don't want to just be spouting off, and I kind of want to know what y'all think. Can a man reach his full potential without a woman? What say you? What say you, family? I want to see what some of you think. Raymond says yes, he can. I know Yardley earlier, he and I went back and forth a little bit. There he is. Raymond says yes. Yardley says yes, of course. I know it's a seemed pretty much down the line. I had several guys that said no, several that said yes, and then of course, I won't say of course, but I don't think I saw any women that said yes. I think most, if not all, of the women said no. So Sherwood says, good question, and I say no. Okay. So Sherwood Grant is you and I are on the same page. And I don't know, I think well, definitions are important, right? Words are important. I think sometimes we get caught up in semantics. And see, Jana says, Jana Taggart, was it Jana or is it Jana? I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, sis. I don't think it's just semantics. I think words are important. And see, Facebook user, whoever that is, says, I could, but I wouldn't want to. All right. Yeah, words are important. Definitions are important. And so just on the topic of the word potential, right? The word potential literally means, well, the root word is power. But it's some synonyms are capability, ability, what a person is capable of. And I think sometimes we get, because these are such tenuous times or strenuous times between men and women, that there's a lot of back and forth, and people want to feel like they're independent of one another. And I don't need no man, I don't need no woman. A whole lot of that going on. But I think just at the root of what we're talking about, as far as what's possible, right? As far as just simply what's possible. Can a man do everything that's in his power, everything possible within his power, his full potential? Can he flex the full potential of what a man is capable of without a woman? That's the question. And to that, I say no. I say no, he cannot. And I'm going to explain why. First is, this topic is interesting. I think a lot of men that I have met have been hurt. Some are fearful of being hurt again and afraid to love again or go through the stages of love. Listen, to love and to lose is painful. I don't want to get too cliche, but there was one, I think it was in a song that says, it's better to have loved and to have lost than to never have loved at all, right? To lose love, especially when you're being made a fool of, man, that is painful. It hurts, and nobody wants to play the fool, right? And so I get it. I get it. So, but the reality, though, is that when you do experience the fullness of it, I don't know that there's anything really, there are few things, I'll say it that way. There are few things that can compare to what it actually feels like to love one, and then equally important, to be loved in return. And we use that word love so loosely, but I think in a general sense, it just means to be appreciated with not only words, but also deeds, right? It's somebody caring for me and taking care of me in the same way that I'm. And that's a pretty general flex on the definition. But let me see. Karen says it depends on our definition of full potential, right? And I'm about to jump into that. Okay, Facebook users, Brother James, what's happening, Brother James? Good to see you, man. See, yeah, I'm gonna be joining. Shout out to Brother James, man. Lions Den, the Judas Den podcast. I'm gonna be joining him this weekend on the Judas Den. We're gonna stay tuned. I'm going to share the link to that in the coming days. But that brother has a wonderful show. Even without me, his show is wonderful. And I just like to hope I can add some value to it when I show my face. But shout out to Brother James. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. Great show. Great things that you're doing over there. Yardley says, many men have reached their full potential without women. However, a man will never reach his full potential with the wrong woman in his life. Now, I agree partly with that. A man will never reach his full potential with the wrong woman in his life. I agree with that. Sherwood says, the Bible story. God said man need a woman. He can't innately use his powers without a woman to look after and to love. Man, listen. There was a brother Ken Watts commented on my post earlier, and he said, biblically speaking, that I was incorrect. Now, just to your point, Brother Sherwood just said, the point that Brother Sherwood just made about the Bible, even if you want to go there with it, God said in the Bible that it is not good that man should be alone. And so he made for him a help meet, right? Now, I don't want to get too, Bible based, I'm not a preacher or anything, but if God said that it's not good, then the opposite of not good is good, right? Not only that, he made for him a helper, which means that in the Bible, he saw fit that man needed help in doing whatever it was that God designed for him to do. So whatever mission God had for him to do wasn't good for man to be alone. That meant he could not accomplish whatever it was that God set out for him to do. So he made for him a helper. I mean, those two things alone, I think spell it out. The fact that in order to reach the fullness of whatever it is, and this is just the Bible part of it, right? We can go into some other aspects of life too. But just the Bible part of it, since that was brought up, you can clearly see that it was intended in order for man to reach his fullness, the fullness of his potential, that he would need a woman. Now, that does not mean that you can't live a good life without a woman. I'm not saying that. It does not mean you can't have fun. That doesn't mean that you can't be healthy. It doesn't mean that you can't have a fully enjoyable life if you decide that you don't want a woman in your life. I'm not saying that. Listen, I drive a CX-9, a Mazda CX-9. I think it's a really nice car, right? In the owner's manual, they say if you use 87 octane, you can get 227 horsepower out of this engine. Pretty good. I have a lot of fun with those 227 ponies, right? But if I use 93 octane, I can get 250 horsepower. Now, that's a few more ponies. It's a little bit more fun, right? Here's the point. The full potential of that car is when I put 93 in there. But I can still have an enjoyable ride. It still looks good. My lady still looks good next to me in it. People, when I drive by, they're like, oh man, nice car. It's still a really nice car. And I still drive it. I can still go from Florida to California. I mean, I can go as far as I want to go and do all the things that I really like to do in that car, even on 87 octane. But I cannot reach the full potential unless I put 93, because 93 offers me a few more horses, a few more ponies. I can go faster. I can pull more weight. I get better gas mileage. I can do more, and I can have even more fun in that car with 93. So the point I'm making, the parallel that I'm making, is that yes, man can live a good life, have fun, and do a lot of enjoyable things, but the fullness of what he's able to do, even if you talk about just producing a child, you can't produce a child without a woman. Now, everybody may not want a child. I'm not talking about your wants. I'm not talking about your feelings. I'm talking about potential, right? What is the word potential? It literally means ability or capability. What is a man capable of, right? And you cannot express the fullness of what you are capable of without a woman. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Let me see what we got here. Let me look at some of these comments. Brother Raymond says, what about men who have lost their partner ultimately and build their legacy by themselves? Let me read that again to make sure I'm clear. What about men who have lost their partner untimely, okay, untimely, and build their legacy by themselves. Yes, you can do that. Again, I'm not saying that you can't still live a great life and work on your legacy and still accomplish great things. Again, I don't know. I don't know that I could. You said that before I made my point. So let me know if you think that my point answered your question. Let me see. Respect to you, brother, my man James. Can't wait to build with you Saturday, bro. It is Saturday, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Saturday that we agreed on. Brother Yardley says a woman, as it relates to a man's potential, enhances his potential. If she does not believe in his vision, she will blind him. If she believes in his vision, he will soar to heights of his dreams. Look, to that I say this: a man's potential is what his potential is, right? The power. Literally, the word potential derives from the Latin word power, right? So, as a standalone unit, I'm a man with this potential and this power. Now, when a woman comes, I'm able to exercise the fullness of that power, right? So, I think in the context of what you're saying, um, even if a woman doesn't enter my life, I still have that power. I'm just unable to necessarily exercise that power. Does that make sense? I hope I'm making sense. I'm not trying to split hairs. I'm just talking about what a man is capable of versus what a man is not capable of. I don't want to put feelings on it because feelings taint the whole pool, right? Everybody feels differently about a wide variety of things. So I want to kind of remove feelings from the equation and just talk about strictly what a man has the power to do. And if you think about it, look, take the word potential, right? And if you break that down to the actual root word, potent, right? The root word for potential is potent. What is the opposite of potent? Impotent, right? If a man is impotent, he's powerless, right? That literally expresses what the capability of a man is. If a man is impotent, he's powerless. If a man is potent, he is powerful, right? So when you think about the reason that we even have a sex drive, this is why so many men, kind of are frustrated and have a lot of resentment. Sex is a part of it, but that companionship, as much as a lot of people like to downplay the importance of that companionship is crucial. And to exercise that potency, or at least part of that potency, you need a woman. The purpose for you even having a sex drive or high levels of testosterone, the reason that you even have that is for the purpose of sex, right? And what's the purpose for sex? The primary purpose for sex is to produce children. Now, there are other things that we can do, right? We don't have to have children. We don't have to produce children. But the primary purpose for sex is children. The primary way that we exercise, or I should say, one of the primary ways that we exercise our potency or our potential is through sex and through procreation. Let me know if that makes sense. Let me see. Let me read some of these comments. Brother Orinthio says, a woman will help a man find the blind spots in life. She must support him even if things doesn't work out in some situations without saying, I told you so. Yep. When that happens, he will learn from his mistakes. In that way, he will become well-rounded in life. I like that. Now, here's what I will add to that, right? I like that. The other part of what it means to have a woman in our lives. No single head contains all wisdom. That's an African proverb. No single head contains all wisdom. There are ways that women rationalize that are very different from the ways that men tend to rationalize. Women tend to, I hope I get this right, but I think women tend to be right brain thinkers. Men tend to be left brain thinkers. I hope I have that right. So just as I interact with my wife, just on our day to day, or when we do trips, we plan trips, or whatever it is, I think I'm at least reasonably intelligent. And I even to the best of my ability, when I try to think of everything, she's always able to come in and offer a perspective that I hadn't considered, right? And that perspective enhances the things that we're doing or the things that we're engaged in on a day to day or week to week, year to year, whatever it is. So the fullness of my potential, just going back to the root of or the topic of the discussion, the fullness, and I think Yarly mentioned this, the fullness of my intention, my potential becomes enhanced just by the addition of her to my life. Let me see. Raymond says, the Bible also says it is better to live in the corner of a rooftop than to live with a contentious woman. Absolutely. Look, I don't encourage on any level whatsoever dwelling with a woman who is full of contempt. I don't promote that at all. Or even for a woman to dwell with a man who is full of contempt or, bitterness and all that other stuff. I'm talking, when I talk about relationships, I'm primarily speaking from a healthy relationship standpoint, right? So, Yali, you funny. So my reference is always a healthy relationship. Now we can discuss what devolves from there, different dysfunctions that appear in relationships and so on. But when I make these references about what should be or what could be, I'm primarily referencing healthy relationships. Y'all do me a favor, if you haven't already, hit that like button and share this video. Hit that like button and share this video. And if you want to show some support to me and for what I do, feel free to send to donate to my Cash App. It's $ Love Alchemist 11. $ Love Alchemist 11 if you want to show some love in that way. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program. Let me see. What we have. Brother James says, yes, this Saturday, 10 a.m. I will be there, bro. Let me see. User, I guess that's still James. He says, when you say full potential, give me some more details. Okay. So when we're talking about, so Brother Marcus, he says, facts. I appreciate that. And Yarly says I should try 101 octane. I don't think I want to burn my baby up, man. She run pretty good on that 93. I think I'm gonna leave it there. Plus, I don't like tickets. Man, let me see. Oh, back to this. When you say full potential, give me some more details. I don't know if I answered that question already as I was discussing just some of the things that I was talking about. Let me know if I covered that. But even without going very far, I'll just use the one example of man. One of man's greatest expressions of his potency is through procreation. That is, if not the primary reason that we're here, is definitely one of the primary reasons we are here. And so you need a woman for that. You absolutely cannot do that without a woman. So, and somebody made a comment on my post. I'm pretty sure it was a woman. She said, you can't even enter this realm. You can't even enter the earth plane, plane terror, if you will. You can't even get here without the agency of a woman. So even from the very beginning, we need a woman. Now, I know Similac has, stole the show, but the way it was designed, you need nurturing from a woman, even from the very beginning. And then on through life, a healthy-minded woman is tremendously beneficial. You can't even calculate the benefits that show up in a man's life as a result of being coupled with a healthy woman. Janice says, I've been saying this. Yep. The artist says, men have the potential of destroying an entire civilization or cower in their despair. Yep, absolutely. There's another, I don't know if it was a proverb, but yeah, I think it says, when children are not embraced by the village, they'll burn it down to feel its warmth. When children are not embraced by the village, they will burn it down to feel its warmth. Right? So yes, absolutely. Men have the potential to destroy entire civilizations. Sherwood says, no matter where a man is at in life, he is still limited because he is yet a man. He will learn much through interaction of a woman, rather good or bad, because that journey can elevate him. Yeah. Now, look, nothing is all good or all bad. Nothing is either good or bad. It's primarily our thinking that makes it so. And I'll give a real personal example. I lost my father when I was 11. He was murdered right before my 12th birthday. And most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. After that, the trajectory that my life took, I imagine, was a whole lot better than it would have taken if my father would have still been here. I would have never, we would have never moved to where we moved to after that. I probably would not have met my wife, or if I had, I certainly would not have met her under those circumstances, and she probably would not be my wife, which means I would not have the children and the grandchildren that I have. So in other words, I'm saying there's a silver lining in every cloud. It's just really a matter of what you choose to focus on, right? You can dwell on the negative. Um, you can focus on whatever you choose to focus on. But the reality is there's really some good in just about every situation, because nothing is all good or bad. Everything comes with a positive and a negative aspect, right? A plus or a minus, or a yin and a yang, or masculine and a feminine. It's not that they're so much opposites, but they complement each other. There's always another side. I hope that makes sense. Let me see. Raymond says, I believe potential is development. Not everyone will supplement your development. It's just like medicine. Some medications can't be taken together. And so you're talking about negative interactions, I presume. And with that, yeah, I agree. I agree. Kokisha, what's happening, sis? Long time no see. Haven't talked to you in a long time. Let me see. Here's another part that we often overlook. There was an article that came out. I don't know if y'all saw this, but there was an article that came out in Psychology Today. Have any of you guys seen that? An article in Psychology Today. I'm going to touch on this real quick. And the article talked about Iman. What's happening, sis? Good to see you. Good to see you. The rise in the article in Psychology Today talks about the rise of lonely single men, right? Now, this is one of the things that Kevin Samuels had been harping on before his untimely demise. He was talking about, how many women were going to die alone, right? Women are going to die alone, grow old, grow miserable, get a cat, get a dog. You're going to die alone if you can't lower your standards. And this article kind of touches on a very similar issue, but it flips it really, and puts a lot of that onus on men. Let me just touch on a couple of points in here. It just talks about how the rise in dating standards, healthy relationship standards that women have, and so that's making it harder on men. And if you look on these dating apps, men overwhelmingly are represented on these dating apps. It's like something like 60 something percent compared to, see, 62% of all users are men. So the overwhelming majority of the users are men. Let me see. It was something else. Oh, here's another thing too. This is how this is. And again, I don't advocate for just being in a relationship just for the sake of being in one, just to say you have a woman. I'm talking about a healthy relationship. And so not only do women need to be more conscious of the standards that they have, but men also need to be more conscious of the standards that we have. And here's another one. Watch this. Before I get off this point, the long short of it is men live longer when we are in relationships. We live longer, and if there's nothing more important than life itself, nothing more valuable than life itself, then that speaks to the importance of being in a relationship. I think the average, I forget what the exact number is, but I think it's a few years, if I remember correctly. I should have had that ready for y'all. But one of our classic movies, and let me wet my whistle. Hold on. We have a classic movie in the family, right? The Color Purple. Y'all remember The Color Purple? Everybody remember The Color Purple? Let me read this comment and I'll get back to that point. Fuzz says, men don't want to date. Some are on the app just to hit it and move on. Post-trauma and hurt has prevented some men from developing healthy relationships and intimacy. Yeah, that's across the board. Honestly, that's true. I acknowledge that that's true about men. It's also true about women. I think it's true about people in general. It's hard to get past that pain, and even one of the things I talk about a lot is the devastation that and the traumatic impact that cheating has. Um, Cheating is one of the most painful things that you can do to a person. And so, I implore all of you, if you are in a relationship with somebody, man, break up with them before you cheat on them, especially if you know that they're really, really into you, because cheating is devastating. I was reading an article some time ago that spoke to the pain that cheating causes. And they compared the pain of being cheated on to the pain that people experience when they lose a child to death, when a child dies. Did I say that right? I feel like I'm getting my thoughts kind of jumbled up. The pain of losing a child to death is comparable to the pain of being cheated on, in these studies that I was reading about. So, um, I guess the larger point is this: most people can't recover healthily from being cheated on without therapy. It's that devastating. And so you have people who sometimes decades later are still, replaying these scenarios. It's really hard to get past that without help. So, yeah, that's just a point that I think it was Fuzz Lights just made up here. The intimacy, see, the past trauma and hurt prevent people from developing healthy relations. And then plus, it's just embarrassing, man. People are, nobody wants to be hurt. Nobody wants to be embarrassed. Nobody wants to be made a fool of, and so on. But let me touch on this point real quick. See, Yarley says society doesn't care if men die alone. We are expendable as far as society goes. I know that there are some ideas that are being promoted, some unhealthy ideas that are being promoted as far as manhood goes. But I will say this: there is nothing more important than men in a society. And I'm not saying that women are more or less important. I'm saying that nothing and no one is more important than men as far as a community goes, as far as the family goes, as far as the society goes. You want to talk micro, you want to talk macro. It really doesn't matter. Nothing is more important than the presence of healthy men, period. So, to hell with what society is promoting or whatever, we're definitely not expendable. Fuzz Lights agrees. I appreciate that. Before I read this next comment, let me talk about just the importance of women in the lives of men. We talk about this movie, The Color Purple, right? And you remember, man, I wish I had saved that picture on here. I don't know if any of you saw Whoopi Goldberg in her early years, right? Whoopi Goldberg was not an ugly woman. She was not by any stretch. When you saw Whoopi dolled up and doing her photo shoots, I want to say she looked like she had some modeling going on, if I'm not mistaken. But Whoopi was not ugly by any stretch of the imagination, but she played ugly on TV, right? And even her personality, I got some challenges with that even today. But that's another story. But in The Color Purple, she played ugly. She played the ugly role, right? And so she was widely regarded as physically unattractive, physically unappealing. Most people generally regarded Celie, her character Celie, as ugly, right? Watch this. Even with as ugly as everybody thought she was, Danny Glover, or Mr., which was his character, still made her his wife. Why am I telling you that? I'm saying this, that it was widely understood centuries ago, and on up to several decades ago, that it is better to have a wife who is highly regarded as unattractive, maybe even ugly, if you want to go there with it. It's better to have an ugly wife than no wife at all. Hollywood has a weird way of putting truth in plain sight, right? They're really weird, right? They put things in comedy, they put things in movies, And but they will roll out some serious life truths if you pay attention, right? And so what that movie showed me in that instant was that it was better for him to have what was widely regarded as an ugly wife. I mean, he didn't even want to look at her when he was laying on top of her. That's how ugly he thought she was in that movie. One scene he looked at her, he was like, ugh. And he put his head down and he kept on doing what he was doing, making his babies, right? I'm saying the point is, men really, first of all, men, we're really not that picky. I mean, we like nice things. We love looking at beautiful women. I get it, right? But the reality, though, is we're not as sexually selective as women are, not generally speaking, right? And just to add a little bit of sauce on that, Suge Avery was one of the prettiest women in the movie. So he had access to a pretty woman. He had money. The dude had land, but that's what he settled on. Let me go back up here to some of these comments. Y'all let me know what y'all think about what I'm saying. Brother Curtis Hall says, truth. What's up, Curtis? How you doing, brother? Fuzz says, I agree. Let's see. I believe a man can definitely reach his full potential without a woman in terms of his work, calling, or assignment in life. But as I said earlier, I would rather have my wife with me because she would add more insight, more discipline, and definitely intuition. Okay, well, I disagree with you, good brother. Maybe we can unpack that a little bit more on the show if you want when I visit your show on Saturday. I disagree, primarily because, like I said, one of the expressions of a man's potential is in the procreation, or procreation of life, right? And you can't do that without a woman. So let's see, what's next? Yardley says, how many care that young men die alone on the multitudes of battlefields across the planet? Yeah, look, man, men are widely regarded as expendable in the lives of a lot of people. I get exactly what you're saying, but when we look at what men bring, just on a community standpoint, because if you think about it, when you're talking about battlefields and men dying at war, you're not dying for your own cause. You're dying for some rich man's cause, and you bought into his idea, or maybe you were drafted into his idea, and that was what it was. But as far as what's absolutely necessary in each individual family, and that expands out to each individual community, and then even further out from there, you can't have a healthy arrangement without the presence of men. You just can't. So I get the narrative that's being pushed, but it is what it is. You can't have healthy families. Look, any family, I don't care what you see on TV, any family that does not have a man present is missing a very key and crucial element in the development of that family, period. Because it was designed to have a man, a woman, and then children. Anything less than that, well, you don't necessarily have to have children, but when you're talking about children being there, you have a lot of single parent households, right? You have fathers raising children alone, you have women raising children alone, or mothers raising children alone. And I'm saying that anything less than the presence of a father and a mother in that family while raising children, anything less than that, you're lacking something very crucial in the development of that family and those children. You see, Fuzz Light says men are the key. Yep, we need them. Absolutely. Yardley says that's how it should be. But the reality is, yeah, I get it. The family is definitely being is facing challenges. Whoopi had a nice physical makeup. Yeah, man, look, Whoopi back in the day, man. Whoopi was, I'm not gonna go so far to say she wasn't no Halle Berry, she wasn't no Megan Good. And it's a lot of sisters out there that are flyer than she was, but Whoopi was all right. She didn't look nothing like that Celie character, I tell you that. She didn't look nothing like that Celie character. Diamond Queen, what's happening, sis? Good to see you. Boosie Latham, greetings, family. I ain't seen you in a while. How you been? Following from your appearance on It Is What It, what is it? It Is What It Is. Yeah, that's where I saw you from. I knew I saw your name from somebody I hadn't seen you in a while. Good to see you again. Good to see you. Yarley says Whoopi of the 80s, 90s. Yeah, no, I'm talking about Whoopi back in the day. I don't like really looking at Whoopi right now. She kind of, I don't like her ideology either. So that makes her ugly to me more than anything. Brother Curtis says Proverbs 31 wife. Yeah, and it's funny that Proverbs 31 woman I think is more of an ideal than a reality that most women will ever reach. But it's a healthy ideal, I think, for women to aspire to. But yeah, that man, look, I'll say it again. I will take. I love my wife, and my wife is beautiful. But I will take, and let's just use the number scale, the number system, right? We like ranking things, and I'll say my wife is a 10, right? But more important than my wife being a 10 is that she gives me 10, right? And when I say she gives me 10, I'm talking about she gives me full effort. On a scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, she gives me a 10 as far as effort is concerned. But I'm saying that to say this. I will take a 5 who gives me 10 over a dime who gives me a half-ass effort any day. And what Danny Glover had in Seeley was less than a 5 in that movie. I mean, like I said, she played the ugly chick, right? But she gave him 10. She gave him all kinds of cooperation and all kinds of effort. He just didn't know how to reciprocate. He mistreated her, right? But what he had in her was a good wife. Now, aside from the fact that she was a child, I mean, I can't overlook that. That was egregious in and of itself. But I'm just saying, just from a behavioral standpoint, she did the role. She played the role of wife, despite how she looked. And that was much better than what he would have gotten from Suge, who was, Suge wanted to be out there, right? So there are plenty of dime pieces out here, beautiful women out here, lovely to look at, not really worth bringing home to meet your mama, right? So I'll take a 5 who gives me 10 over a 10 who gives me a half-ass effort any day. I might coin that. I might put that on the t-shirt. Yardley says the message that black men are violent, toxic, and dangerous to our women. Yeah, I mean, there's stereotypes, right? And every stereotype contains some truth. We do have, unfortunately, we do have a lot of violence, there in the community, and that just is what it is. But yeah, it is definitely propagandized. It's definitely promoted as if we are the big bad wolf, and that's unfortunate. So we got to write our own narrative, man. That's the bottom line. We got to write our own narrative. I treat my woman exceptionally well. My daughter, my mother, my sister. So all we can do is what they say, be the change, right? Just as far all we can control is what we can control, and let the naysayers and those who promote the different propaganda, let them do what they do. But we can make sure that the different women that interact with us have at least a something that's not unpleasant in our interaction. If they want to act a fool when they meet us, if I hold the door open for a sister and she say, I could do it myself, I don't need no man, and that, if she just start going off, I don't have to cuss her out, right? I can just be like, hey, I'm going from it. Right? I don't have to say anything. I just hold the door, and if she getting the uproar over it, damn, I'll let the door go. Oh, open it yourself. Then I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to contribute to whatever her unpleasant experiences have been with men. Because when people behave that way, when people respond that way, it's typically because of some previous unpleasant exchange or interaction with members of the opposite sex, or whatever the scenario is. I hope that makes sense. Let's see, Brother James said that's why I asked for details, because if you're adding procreation as a part of his mission or calling, then no, he can't. But a woman brings more than just procreation. Absolutely. Absolutely. We will go into more detail concerning Proverbs 31 this Saturday, because that woman does exist today. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yarley said Suge was for the streets. She was, man. Suge was definitely for the streets. I had a couple more ideas that I wanted to share with y'all on here. Suge was for the streets, man. um, let me see. What else did I write down here? I had there's a couple good movies out here that old, mostly old school movies. I'm not aware of any new movies, but have any of you guys ever seen Seven Brides for Seven Brothers? It's an old school classic, American classic. I think these guys were like hillbillies or mountain men or whatever. But in that movie, there's a song called "Bless My Beautiful Bride," right? And he goes on this detailed list of what he needs from his woman, and I think, and again, it's comical in a sense, and it's sensationalized because it's a movie. But the point is, I think just as men, we really do need to be more purposeful in our selection of women. And I think that the more purposeful we are, and I'm talking about purpose based on outcomes, not just purposed on how good she might look or how fly, how much. Yeah, Fuzz Light says she loved the movie. My wife says great movie. Yep, that's a good movie. You know, just being purposeful based on the outcomes that we want, right? Not necessarily the accolades or the kudos or how, the attaboys that we might get because the fellas, might give us a big up or dap us up because we got the fly chick, right? Ultimately, what we're looking for is the type of companion that can add value to our lives, man. And again, man, I if I was not married, I'm telling you, I'm a face man. I love the pretty face too. But what I love more than a pretty face is my peace of mind, right? And it really doesn't matter how pretty a woman is. If she can't offer me peace of mind, you know, and I'm gonna do my best to establish my own peace of mind. But I'm talking about somebody who takes away from that peace. And there are a lot of women out here who will take away, or at least attempt to take away from that peace. Here's another part of what increases a man's potential, and I think this might be the only exception I think that I would make as far as a man getting as close as possible to reaching that potential. Y'all ready for this? I'm gonna drop this idea and let me know what y'all think about this. I think that the only other way that a man can reach, and I won't say full potential because again, part of what a man, just on a biological level, right? Biologically speaking, a man's potential, in a man's potential lies the ability to procreate, right? But the next best thing is, I won't even rank it that way. What I will say is there's tremendous power in celibacy, right? There is tremendous power in celibacy. Now, that's not promoted, right? Everybody, I mean, they can't even sell you a set of tires or I don't know, what a set of tools. Everything is, there's always a woman in a bikini or something. So they're always promoting sex, right? But there's another proverb by Ptahhotep, and it goes like this. It says, "A man who fails through lust, if a man fails through lust, then no endeavor of his will be successful." Something like that. I think I got it right. He who fails through lust, no endeavor of his will ever be successful. Yarley says Vaughn unmarried would have been for the streets for a while. Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. I'm definitely much more focused because of my wife. She definitely helped having a wife, and I'm glad I got married. I got married at 18 years old, right out of high school, man. And this year makes 32 years. 32 years. And yeah, that definitely changed me because the young Vaughn, man, yeah, I'm thankful for my wife. I'll just say that. But there's some benefits for celibacy, man. And again, to each their own, right? Um, but the mental clarity that we get, the amount of focus that we're able to achieve, even the amount of physical strength that comes as a result of being celibate, man. There's an idea. Are you guys familiar with sex transmutation? I don't want to get too deep on it, but this idea, let's see, Fuzz says you are blessed to have your wife and she is blessed to have your covering. I concur. I appreciate that. I agree 100%. There's this idea called sex transmutation. And so what law is that where it says energy can neither be created or destroyed, only transferred? What law is that? Is that Newton? I forget. One of those. But anyway, energy can neither be created or destroyed, only transferred. So sex energy, our sexual energy, is probably the single greatest driving force in our biology, right? And that's the same energy, believe it or not, that we use in order to not only create life, but also to create in our lives, to produce things in our lives, to make manifest the desires that we have or the passions that we want. It's really the same energy. The difference is that rather than releasing it sexually, it's transmuted, right? And brought up and expressed mentally, and then ultimately physically towards the end of accomplishment, right? It is Newton. It is Newton. Okay, my man, appreciate that. Sometimes I get it twisted, but I appreciate that. So yeah, neither energy can neither be created or destroyed, only transferred. So this idea of sex transmutation, and again, Hollywood, man, Hollywood be showing you stuff, but this idea of sex transmutation talks about the transference of that sexual energy. So this is why oftentimes the nerdy kids in school who ain't getting none, quote unquote, they're the smartest. They're typically the ones who are, and now this is of course unless they get into the bad stuff, right? They start doing all kinds of drugs and stuff like that. But those kids who tend to be shunned, and they're the nerds with the glasses and the pocket full of pens, and they're into their studies. I mean, these guys are the valedictorians. They're the cream of the crop as far as academics go. And part of that is because they're not releasing that energy through sex. They're transmuting that energy, and it's being expressed academically, mentally, if you will. And even in the movies, you'll see how after a bad breakup, oftentimes a person will kind of go into a shell, and all of a sudden they'll start thriving at work. I mean, they're knocking out projects left and right. They're excelling. They're salesmen of the month or year or whatever. Hollywood, they're always putting things in plain sight. And of course we want balance in our lives, but that just goes to show you that you can abuse a good thing. And sometimes overindulgence in sex can be extremely detrimental, because you can deplete that vital essence that we need for that vigor in life. And if you're not careful, if you don't watch Hollywood, man, they will encourage you to do some very detrimental things. And overindulgence in sex is one of those things. And I think that's why they promote it to us, to be honest with you. But anyway, I don't want to get too far off onto that. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about, man. Just the topic, man. Can a man live his fullest potential, reach his fullest potential without a woman? And I stand on the idea that the answer is no. Doesn't mean he can't have a good life, though, right? He can still have a great life. But I'm talking about everything that he is capable of from a biological standpoint. If there was a blueprint, some blueprints laid out, and we talked about 100 different functions that a man was capable of, procreation is one of those things. As a matter of fact, procreation would be one of those primary things. And that's part of his potential. And you cannot do that without a woman. So that's what I'm hanging my hat on. That's the hill I'm gonna die on, family. Listen, got a couple books. They're on Amazon. My wife and I wrote a couple. Man, let's see. We have the Heart Work book. It's on Amazon.com. If you go to 31 Days to Mastering Your Relationship in Amazon, my wife and I wrote this book together. It's been helping couples all over the world. Feel free to jump on there and grab that. My wife My wife is a genius, man. She be just creating stuff. She made this little coloring book. If you got children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, made this little magnificently me coloring book, ABC coloring book full of, nice self-reflective images. Also, that's on Amazon. And also, we made a word search, man. My wife put together this word search. It's like 1,800 words in this thing. Is it 18,000 words? I forget. It's a lot of them, though. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's a lot of word search, a lot of words. And it's called The Ultimate Word Search by Vaughn and Desiree Jackson. My wife and I put that together. Just putting stuff together, man, so couples can have, help out their relationship and also just enhance the health of our children. Because I think it's important. We both think that's important. So that's why we do what we do. Man said Jesus did. Yes, he did. Facebook user, have you read The Way of the Superior Man? Yes, I have. Hey, that's another one we can talk about on the show. I think he had a lot of really deep and profound insights in that book, man. I like the book. Long short of it is, I like the book. Let's talk about it on the show, man. I can't stay on here much longer because we up against the hour, and I promise my man I'll be off of here by 8 o'clock. Can you leave the name of the book again? Yes. Which one you talking about? The ABC coloring book, the ABC coloring book. Let me put that in there. Just make sure you put my name in there. Vaughn and Desiree Jackson, The Ultimate Word Search. Word search. And then the other one was 31 Days to Mastering Your Relationship. 31 Days to Mastering Your Relationship. AKA the Heart Work book. If you need more details, just send me an inbox, man, and I'll get you guys the details. But man, I appreciate y'all. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and for that, man, I'm eternally thankful. I appreciate y'all, family. Good night.